Meteorologist Wes Wyatt, we are still tracking thunderstorms. We'll show you where it's raining and what's on the way for the weekend.
Thanks, Wes. Plus, why some people are getting rid of traditional grass lawns. And it's not just because they want to save money on watering the grass. Plus, your videos and pictures like this time lapse of a beautiful sunrise.
Live on your side. First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
All right, we made it to Friday, a nice little gift as we go into the weekend. Tania, we got some wet weather out there, huh?
We sure do, Wes. Tell us where it's at.
Yeah, hey, we're tracking it right now. There's still a couple storms on the map. It was quite busy a little bit earlier, but now we do have more isolated storms on the map. But this one's around Whitney Junction. This is along Interstate 59. It's going to be crossing here around Pinedale Shores and moving south towards Shoal Creek Road. If it holds together, it'll reach Shoal Creek Road. There's Asheville, and then I mentioned just to the south there, right there, you can see there's Shoal Creek Road right there on the map. So if it holds together, again, these storms today, they've been rather short-lived in many cases, but they have produced a lot of rain where they have popped up. So we'll take it, and if you're around the storm, you don't get the rain, well, at least you'll get a cool breeze off of this to help out with the heat because it has been a very hot day. There's some lightning with this, though. You need to be indoors, again, for that threat of lightning. But where has it rained? Well, we can clearly tell we've had some rain in this vicinity because as the rain has fallen and storms have collapsed, there's the leading edge of the rain-cooled air, a little outflow boundary, and as dry as it's been, that's probably not rain. What you're seeing, there's a lot of dust being kicked up as this moves on to the south. But because of the dry conditions here recently with these isolated storms, just keep in mind those roads at first rain after it hasn't rained in a while. Sometimes you get that little film and it becomes slippery out there, so just be careful and take it easy if you do encounter some of these heavier downpours. The strongest storm at the moment is south of Greensboro. You can see there quite a bit of lightning, showing 59 lightning strikes, and this is continuing down Highway 69 and Highway 43 down towards Linden and Fonsdale down into Marengo County. Areas south of New Bern, that's where we have the heaviest rain, but if you're watching us on our live stream around Fonsdale and Uniontown, giving you the first alert as that storm drops south. That is south of Casemore. And this evening, if you're out at some of the games in West Alabama, even as far north as Tuscaloosa, because this is such a tall storm, as the sun sets, you'll probably see some of those tall clouds off to the south with some lightning in the highlighting those clouds. So be sure if you capture a good photo to send it to us. I just want to let you know, giving you all of our storm spotters out there a first alert, right? AccuTrack, though, elsewhere, we are dry but cooler. 79 at Coleman, 82 degrees at Hamilton, 81 at Fayette. But the radar looks quieter than it did earlier, but there's still a chance later on that there might be a lone shower. It's one of these setups, kind of like what we saw a couple nights ago, where we might have an isolated shower still on the map past sunset time this evening. But very hot afternoons coming up. Highs in the 90s as the final weekend of summer 2025. So we're going to be talking about summer heat, right, summer mode, right, Tania, as we go through the weekend.
Oh, yeah, you're certainly right, Wes. Well, let's take a break and talk about the tropics. We are tracking one named storm, Tropical Storm Gabrielle. But the good news is this will not pose any impacts to us here across central Alabama. It's expected to remain in the Atlantic Ocean and remain a fish storm. I want to put this in play mode for you so you can actually see where this storm is headed. Right now, it's got maximum sustained winds at about 50 miles per hour. It's moving to the north and east. Looks like my remote is actually dead, so we're going to put this in play mode from the computer. There we go. It could strengthen into a Category 2 storm as we approach the end of the weekend and into early next week. But again, it's going to stay in the Atlantic and it's going to turn north and move through the central Atlantic, not posing an impact to us here across central Alabama. But here's a look at those weather headlines. No local impacts. That's number one. Number two, Category 2 storm by Sunday. And again, it is churning through the Atlantic, remaining what we like to call a fish storm. But there is one other area in the Atlantic that we're watching very closely. Still has a very slow and low chance of developing. A new wave off of Africa's coast is in the far eastern Atlantic. We'll keep our eyes on it and let you know if we have any impacts here, but for now we do not. That's a look at that tropical update, but we'll talk more about that 7-day coming up in just a bit.
All right, what you're seeing on the map here, this is where today we have received rainfall. And I was noticing even in the Birmingham area, you can see around Trussville, radar estimating 0.8 of an inch of rain there, about an inch of rain around Chelsea. We get over to West Alabama, had a viewer said it was pouring in Berry. So Fayette County, we just quite didn't get it over towards the city of Fayette, but 2 inches of rain, check that out, over towards Carbon Hill, 2.5 inches of rain. Again, these are radar estimates, but nice to see those kind of totals. Even Haleyville winning out today. Look at that right there along the Marion-Winston County line. 2.5 inches of rain estimates in those areas. And let's take it to the south here. And you can see there's around Foster's, had a lot of rain, had a weather watcher report there crossing the Foster's Bridge and the Warrior River in Tuscaloosa, said there was some heavy rain. Pondville and now south of Greensboro. So we've had scattered storms. I know there's a lot of areas where we have still missed out, but in these kind of drought patterns, to just get even this is a nice trend. At one point it looked like it was just going to be dust from here until October the 1st, but now we do at least have enough moisture around where we can get these pop-ups. We'll see more of these tomorrow. We also need to watch out for more of these later in the day on Sunday. But we were talking about the tropics. There's a look from Gulf Shores, checking out the tower camera here from Birmingham. You can see we're getting ready for a beautiful sunset with some of those clouds out there, Tania. It should look very nice out there. Actually, what we're going to do right now is we're going to toss to Lauren with an update on the fall colors forecast.
We are getting closer and closer to the first day of fall. Unfortunately, we all know it hasn't been feeling like fall outside, but if you're ready to kind of dive in when you could see those best fall colors, honestly, here in North and Central Alabama, it's really not until early in mid-November that we begin to see that peak of average fall colors. You can see on the key here where you've got that light yellow and tan. It's not really until the next couple of months that we really see the fall colors really becoming more vibrant. So I just want to break down the color forecast for you here over the next couple of weeks. Now, here's the thing. Even though it's been really hot and dry this week, several weeks ago, we did have some cooler temperatures in August. And so because of that, that has helped a few spots begin to show a little bit of color. So for now, and I would say within the next week, overall fall colors are still going to be minimal, but there's a little something. So there's a hint of it in the air, maybe not in the temperatures, but at least in the leaf color. And then within 2 weeks, it is going to be becoming more patchy. And I would say that's how it's going to be through the next month, really. Once we get into mid-October as well, beginning to see more colors popping up here and there. But we can really track it here with our fall foliage forecast week to week. So here we are, September 19th. Not much going on. Still feels like summer. The fall colors certainly aren't out in abundance yet. But as we look ahead to a week from now, we begin to see, okay, maybe in Northeast Alabama, those colors beginning to turn a little bit more. And then here we are the first week of October, beginning to see a little bit more color in Central Alabama. And notice as we progress from week to week, we begin to get closer to that peak, which is really getting closer to November. I would even say in late October, we begin to see some pretty colors, which, hey, Halloween happens to be on a Friday this year. And it shows us that by Halloween, we are getting closer to that peak of the vibrant fall colors. So I think that's just going to make it feel even more Halloweenish outside, getting into those fall vibes. And November, if you're looking for a time to go leaf peeping, I would say if you want to go farther to the north, probably do that in October, because by the time it gets here in November, you've really kind of lost that prime time areas farther to the north. Now, there are some different things that affect things like fall color and the leaf fall as well. And so our friends from Climate Central have done some studies on this, looking at past climates and what has helped the fall colors to shift and fluctuate over time. Well, one thing that can help to dull color with leaves is if you have a lot of warm nights. So we've talked about before that when you have those warmer low temperatures overnight, that's not allowing your body much time to cool off, but it's also not allowing the leaves to experience that cooler air at night that can help to make the colors more vibrant. And that's what you see often with cooler nights in the forecast. So I mentioned that several weeks ago when we had those cooler temperatures, that's why we're kind of beginning to already see some spots showing some little pops of color. But if we continue to see a situation here where these warm nights continue with this hot forecast in place, it may dull the color a little bit in the coming weeks. Now, that's to do with color. What about the actual leaves falling? Because, here on First Alert Weather Extra, we love to give you that raking forecast as well if you need to get any yard work done. One thing that can cause leaves to fall a little earlier are things like drought and heat stress. And we certainly had some early summer warming as well. We haven't had major issues with storm damage, so that's good news. But if we continue to see prolonged periods of drought and we're not getting a lot of measurable rainfall in the forecast, that could allow the leaves to fall sooner and maybe not be as impressive as we go throughout the season, because they're not on the tree anymore, right? Now, one thing that can cause leaves to fall later in the season is the fact that, the fall nights could be running warmer. And if we see a trend in October where it ends up being a warmer than average month, then that means the leaves could be staying put. So these are all things that we look at as meteorologists when we're coming up with that fall foliage forecast, which we bring you right here exclusively on Weather Extra every Friday. So stay tuned for updates next week. And hey, Wes and Tania, we've been talking about the fact that it may actually be a little bit cooler next week. So first alert for something positive to look forward to in the forecast.
Well, life on another planet. It's a question, but it's possible. What researchers have discovered about a planet that's relatively close to Earth from a cosmic standpoint.
You're watching WBRC 6 News, Alabama Broadcasters Association's Station of the Year.
Right, we're going to kick it off here with a view from T-Town, and at the moment a break in the wet weather. We've had scattered showers and storms all around West Alabama. Some areas over 2 inches of rain today, and some more of these clouds around at sunset time. The view from Birmingham and Red Mountain, we've had a nice little breeze earlier today, and once we got the storms around and that wind, it really helped to mix the air and help us with that air quality alert. So that has been dropped now because of some of those storms nearby earlier helping us out there. 85 from Jacksonville State University at this time. We got a game coming up tomorrow. Might be a couple isolated storms on the radar tomorrow, but things just really settled down quickly. You can see obviously the temperatures have taken quite the tumble. We're down to 79 at Birmingham, 84 in Tuscaloosa. Now this is coming off of a day where at one point we were at 97 degrees. So with those kind of temperatures out there, it's nice to see an improvement just in time for some of those high school games. That said, we still have seen in some of the model data some indications we might see an isolated shower trying to fire up just like a couple nights ago. We had a couple showers that were on radar through late evening, and there's actually a little bit of rain still hanging on here around Asheville. As you can see, it's just not totally going away, but that's tracking towards Shoal Creek Road to the south. And we do have a storm around Fonsdale. Now this is just outside of our area. Demopolis is over in here, Greensboro at the top of the screen, but this is drifting towards the southeast. But this is down around Laneville, Case Moore. There's Lock 5, a little pop-up storm. So for folks maybe heading down to one of the camps for the weekend, you can see there those storms are popping up there to the south. Much needed rainfall though for a lot of areas. I know there's a lot of farmers out there and some fields that need some rain, and we're getting it right now in the southern part of Hale County. Kickoff forecast you can see for our Saturday 2:30, Auburn at Oklahoma, out of town, but it looks like tomorrow there will be a few afternoon storms. UAB at Tennessee, temperatures if you're leaving out early tomorrow, which kickoff's at 11:45, maybe I know a lot of folks may be on the road already, but even there at Knoxville, upper 80s, and you can see Murray State at Jack State, temperatures in the 80s there at kickoff, but highs tomorrow will be in the 90s. Tonight, again, maybe an isolated shower this evening, but we take it into tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and then it looks like a dry start to the day. There will be a little bit of fog where we had some rain earlier today, and that fog gives way to another hot summer day. It's the final weekend of summer 2025, and it is certainly going to feel like it out there. A few afternoon storms. A lot of our model data is still picking up on that, so need to watch it. It looks like the data is really favoring East Alabama for some of those pop-ups tomorrow. And typically, you know, in the summer pattern, that's the way it often works out. Areas that didn't get as much rain today will have a better chance tomorrow. But as we look ahead, we still see this trough digging in across the central U.S. by the middle of the week, and that's going to send a cold front our way. Looks like around Wednesday and Thursday. So that's going to bring a better chance for afternoon storms. And then after that front, we're now seeing indications that we could trend much drier. Here's our fishing forecast for tomorrow. If you're out on the water, you can see afternoon storms possible. We're coming up on a new moon, a moonrise time at 5:21. So with the moon overhead, you might have some good luck out there on the water. A little bit of movement early tomorrow morning. So good luck to you. Just be safe out there and watch out. Again, maybe some fog around some of those waterways, especially with it being so hot out there today. Looking ahead, Monday, Tuesday, few afternoon storms as fall arrives, and then there's that chance for storms. So check in with Matt and Lauren over the weekend. We may need to bump up those rain chance. Hopefully that is the case, and then you can see how highs trend a little bit lower by the middle of next week. And that's what we're going to do right now, is head over to Tania to talk a little bit more coming up here in a few moments about that long-range forecast.
Oh yeah, Wes, we will. But first, let's take it to California. For victims of the Eden Fire in California, 2025 has been a nightmare. Many of them lost everything now. The mayor utility provider in the area, SoCal Edison, is starting to pay people for their losses. But not everyone is going to take the payouts, some of which are more than $1 million. Hunter Sowards has the story.
I don't think we thought we wouldn't come back to a home. This is our house.
When flames tore through Altadena in January,
It was like a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
the Simmons family watched their community and their home burn to the ground. A home that's been in their family for nearly 5 decades.
I lost my dad and my brother's ashes in the fire, so we lost everything.
With 5 kids under the age of 14, Joelle says her family was forced to move 15 times since the Eaton fire, spanning 12 Airbnbs until finally finding this rental.
Does that even sound comparable?
We asked them about SoCal Edison's new victim compensation program. For destroyed homes, a family of 4 in a 1,500 square foot lot, for example, would get $1.4 million for reconstruction, pain, and suffering, only if they agree not to pursue legal action.
What has your decision been on accepting SoCal Edison's deal?
We don't plan to accept. We plan to work with our lawyer.
Her family,
You guys want to go outside and play for a little bit?
one of thousands that will have to make the difficult decision of how to move forward.
I may or may not.
We met with a group of Altadena residents, all considering the payout.
I think that's kind of like when people lose everything, there's no price tag on it.
Were you thinking about it? Are you open to this?
Looking at the numbers, it looks aggressive and it looks good, but at the end of the day, no. You know, because there's too many priceless things that we had.
For others who just suffered damage and not a total loss.
We're absolutely going to be submitting a claim for that, because for us it's just additional help.
Edison is offering $50,000 for major damage and $30,000 for minor.
I think it's entirely possible that this is a really great offer for our community, but I think I definitely need to see more.
Each voice, a reminder that every story is as unique as what they lost.
A new study says wildfire smoke is responsible for more than 41,400 excess deaths a year. That's more than twice what was previously found in other studies. The authors of the new study predict the number will grow by an additional 26 to 30,000 deaths within the next 25 years. And that's due to heightened fire risk from climate change researches used around 2 decades of death records plus satellite and ground data on wildfire smoke pollution in order to measure how smoke exposure impacted deaths. There might be an Earth-like atmosphere on an exoplanet located 40 light years away from us. Astronomers said the planet is similar to Earth in size. It's part of the TRAPPIST-1 system. The exoplanet was discovered during preliminary observations from the James Webb Space Telescope. Experts say they could soon confirm if the exoplanet is habitable and could sustain liquid water. If confirmed, it would be a first in history to discover an Earth-like atmosphere on an exoplanet. And a new report finds the global water cycle has become increasingly erratic and extreme. That's leading to more droughts and floods. The water cycle refers to the way water moves around the Earth. It evaporates from the ground into the atmosphere. It eventually falls back down to Earth as rain or snow. According to the report by the World Meteorological Organization, climate change is upending that process. Nearly 2/3 of the global river basins did not experience, quote, normal conditions last year. The intense summer heat is about to calm down. Thankfully, that means cooler fall weather, and it could be the perfect time to start rethinking your lawn goals. We're talking about the grass. Yes, trend growing in drier parts, or there's a new trend growing in drier parts of the country. It's known as xeriscaping. It involves ditching the grass and installing native plants. Ted Lindner has the story.
From our showers to our sinks and beyond, Americans use a lot of water. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, the average family uses 320 gallons of water every day, with about 1/3 of that H2O used outdoors. And water consumption can rise for folks striving to keep their lawns bright green.
Fingertip to elbow. Okay. Doesn't plant that often.
But in a bid to save water for financial and environmental reasons, more people in drier climates are embracing a growing trend.
Xeriscaping is the art of not wasting water and still celebrating the abundance of the earth in your yard.
Landscaping expert Erin Murphy says xeriscaping helps to beautify a property in the absence of water, because most standard grass lawns can die out and weeds will start to take over.
Your lawn is going to stop working and looking good. You're going to have to address it. You're going to have to open your eyes and say, what could I do that's different and better?
Murphy says you can accomplish drought-resistant landscaping in many different ways.
Most people think of like a gravel garden with perennial plants in it when they think of xeriscaping. You can also have a lush prairie. You can have a crevice garden or a rock garden with tiny little plants growing amid stone features. You can have a cactus garden.
Abandoning grass lawns can also help people limit fertilizer and pesticide use, which environmental advocates warn can get washed into rivers and other water sources. Meanwhile, growing native plants instead of grass can also help attract critical pollinators to your neighborhood. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
It's time for that Beyond the 7-Day forecast. As we look across the United States, we're seeing below average precipitation for areas north central of the nation. And then notice the lower 48, lower 38, above average rainfall and above average rainfall for the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast, including the East Coast. And that includes us here at home across central Alabama. So hopefully we see that above average rainfall and we don't have to water our lawn as much. But what about temperatures? Well, much of the United States dealing with above average temperatures, and that includes us here across the southeast. We'll talk more about that Beyond the 7-Day forecast next Monday on First Alert Weather Extra. But don't go anywhere. We're back after the break.
Explore the wonders of weather with Weather in the Classroom. Scan the QR code now to help your kids soar to new heights with Soar with 6.
All right, Tania, next week we've got some 80s there on that 10-day forecast, so we actually cool off a little bit towards the end of the week. I know it showed above average in the long range, but we just want to stress that
we could see some fall-like temperatures.
Yeah, exactly.
And hopefully we do.
It's not July heat. That's compared to the average for fall, right? So as we take a look at the sunrise this morning, it was a beauty, and that was coming after a fun celestial event earlier in the day. This was from Alexandria. Rodney Frazier sharing this view.
And we have more. We're getting quite a few pictures like this one. It's of the moon and Venus over Lay Lake. Thanks to Sharon Gill for sending this one in to us.
Yeah, and that's that rare alignment we were talking about, Tania, and you can see the view right there. I told Jeremy, our producer, we were sitting there talking. I said, it looks like the, have you ever seen, you've seen Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
The Jedi, you know, it kind of looks like their logo there.
That's cool.
But that was Duncanville. Martha sharing that view this morning. Thank you, Martha, for sharing.
And how about this sunrise in Sylacauga? Crystal Lewis sent that picture in. Awesome. We love your photos.
Sun's been, it's on fire out there, and we hopefully will capture some lovely sunset views this evening.
I sure hope so. Send your pictures in to us. We'll share it next week.
All right, listen, we got football tonight. We'll see you on our streaming platforms during the game and after.